A very, very warm good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Matthias Ofiku, news editor of the Namibian Sun newspaper. Welcome to another edition of the Evening Review Show. Tonight, of course, as promised, we will have a very interesting show. But before we get to that part of the show, let's first have a look at tomorrow's headlines. Well, we're joined in studio tonight by Dr. Hoze Riruako, the Vice Chancellor of the Limkokwing University of Creative Technology, the Namibian leg, of course. Good evening and welcome, sir.
Good evening, and thank you for having me.
No, it's always a pleasure having you here. Well, 2 months into the job so far, how has it been?
Well, quite interesting. The first thing, like any other job, you want to familiarize yourself with the environment.
Yeah.
You know, I spent 31 years in the university setup. But our approach at the current university is a bit different.
Yeah.
You know, as opposed to the UNAM setup and other universities where I spend most of the time. This one it's run more like a business because it's very, very close to the market, and the approach and the also the ideals and the tenets on which it was founded. Yeah. By the owner, the late Dr. Limkokwing. It's totally different because this is a person who came from the private sector. He was a very established businessman and very established developer, and a person who was also more a person who was kind-hearted and was prepared to give back to the community. So his approach and everything is reflected in what we do at that university.
Okay. Of course, the institution has been making headlines. I'm not sure what you make of those. You were quoted in one of today's dailies, rubbishing the allegations that have been put against the institution and so on. Just take us through that a bit. How are you guys dealing with it?
Well, I think most of the allegations and malicious stories that has been making their rounds, it seems to me more isolated from the university. These are it's more of a dogfight between some individuals and some politicians. Even though the name of the university is being dragged in for convenience sakes or for other reasons, the university is not directly involved. And many of this information, if you go a bit and dig a bit deeper, these are allegations that are not founded. But on top of that, I mean, issues of corruption are serious issues. And one would have hoped that when allegations like this are brought, they are not drummed up in the media and elsewhere to cause commotion and perhaps misunderstanding. There are watchdogs in this institution. In this country, there are institutions charged with dealing with serious issue of corruption and other malice within our country. And one will suppose that unless there's any other agenda of trying to tarnish the image of the institution that is being brought in now and then, you go to those institutions and leak claims and charges, as opposed to throwing all kinds of information in the media and so on. But as far as I'm concerned, many of this information is far-fetched. We have started our activities, as we will talk about later, this year. We started with our classes, for instance, in August this year. I was appointed on the 1st of September this year. The majority of staff that are running the institution and the support staff also came on board between March and August. So this is new. And if you look at all that news that is making its round, these are information way before our time, and has actually nothing to do with the current, setup. I'm a new kid on the block. I came on board. I'm the founding vice chancellor of that university, and I have my ideas, I have my vision, and so I have heard the stories, but the stories are in no way deterring what we are doing. We are focused. I'm there to provide oversight. I'm there to provide vision for the institution. I'm there to provide directives for the institution, and I'm completely focused. And my passion, over the 31 years I spent in the academia is very clear from my upbringing and from the work that I've done in academia. I made a pledge that once I obtain these qualifications, I will make sure that I will help those who come from humble beginning like myself to reach where I have reached. And there's no doubt in my mind that every little energy that I have in my body, I will use it to make sure that I improve the plight of the Namibian child. Yeah.
But Dr. Riruako, there's been like-minded, or at least institutions alike to what Limkokwing is doing that has been established in the past. There hasn't been this hullabaloo around the establishment of an institution of that nature. What do you think is driving this?
Well, I think that's what I mentioned. I think whatever transpires, these are personal issues between the individuals that are involved. There's nothing of our own making that I'm aware of. And this is what I keep challenging people, when these issues is brought to us, that get those people to lay claims. Instead of just talking is just hypes. You want to come to the nitty-gritty things. If you're so much concerned that there's so much things that meets the eye, you really want to dig deeper and bring the culprit to book. That's how I operate. That has been my approach to life. That remains my approach. Of course, in any academic institutions, there will be, I remember I was part of the transitional team that helped to put UNAM, from the old academy to the current UNAM. And I remember thereafter, some of us were asked also to assist NAST also to set up. You go through all these teething, phases where you deal with a number of issues. And the doubt, it's always created. At that time, it was not created by the majority of the people who are now creating doubts here, but it was created by those who were on the other side of the equations. So things like this are very common, and those of us who are at the helm of the institutions like this one, we have dealt with these things before in different other aspects of life. We will deal with it and make sure that the Namibian people get the truth, not the hypes, because you must provide both sides of the stories, and then you must also provide tangible proof. You bring these things to the public, and the public judge for themselves. The institution have opened its doors only now in August. After a few years, people will be able to judge that what Riruako was saying as the founding vice chancellor at the beginning, it's basically what's playing out. So I think time will tell as we go on, whether we are going to live up to our expectation, which I have no doubt in my mind, because my qualification, my experience, my everything that I have done so far have prepared me for this job. And there's no doubt in my mind that I'm going to do everything that I could to make sure that I provide the best education ever. Yeah.
In one of your statements, you partially lay blame to your competitors of being behind this public smear that's going on. Who are those competitors?
Well, I don't know if I put anything against my competitors. There are other institutions that are setting themselves up in Namibia, And whenever there's a new bull in town, of course, you want to make sure that you lessen your competition. I cannot pinpoint and say so-and-so is our competitors, but we are not the only player in the market. We are the only one, we are the new one that is making their debut. I trust that you come from a farming background, and whenever you buy a new animal and you bring it in a kraal, as part of the reception routine or rituals, it will be kicked left and right and center until it positions itself within the kraal and within a group in the kraal. And I think we are going through the same thing. We have entered a market where others were players, and I think we just have to reposition ourselves. We have to deal with any pressure or any push and shoving that we may face in the process.
Yeah. You said classes commenced in August. In today's, in one of the dailies of today, you said that the accreditation process is still ongoing. Can you just explain that to us?
Yeah, the accreditation process is one thing that I want everybody to understand. It's a very, very evolving process. You have to go through a number of stages before you get to get the actual accreditation. Now, there are a number of stages that you have to go through. We went through all the different phases and satisfied all the requirements. What is left now for our institution is what we call the site visit by NQA. So NQA just basically comes there, and the few things that they're going to look at, they're going to want to find out whether there are students, whether there are classes that are going on. They want to find out whether there is any leadership. I'm appointed in that capacity to provide, the top leadership, and then whoever is in management. And then they also want to find out, are there any other staff members? And then the third and fourth thing that they want to look at is that they want to come and look at your facilities, your infrastructure. They want to look at your equipments to make sure that everything that you promised to have, that they are intact. So basically, we are at advanced stage in that regard. But mind you, the programs that we are running, these are franchised programs. So these are not necessarily programs that we are starting from scratch. These are programs that has been tested, that has been run everywhere else, and they have been of course accredited fully by the Malaysian Qualification Authority. Other countries that, remember, we are operating in about 13 countries throughout the world. One of those countries is Great Britain. They have done their due diligence. Look at the quality of the programs, look at the offering that the university is doing. And Namibia is also not new to this thing. This is actually what surprised me when you are going to have all these questions about a university like ours. Around 2013 already, Namibia have started sending their students to study at Limkokwing University in Malaysia. Many people have graduated, and they are now currently serving in Namibia in all the different sectors. Now, I am surprised that when the same university branch into Namibia, you will have all these, questions and all these concerns raised. But we have those graduates that are alma maters of the university that are proven to be doing good for themselves. And by the way, our late minister, Dr. Abraham Miyambo, was the first one to go to Malaysia, look at what this university was doing. And if you remember, Malaysia a few years back was just another developing country like any other country. But they were able to leapfrog from that situation because of the type of training that they started to provide. The TVET education that we are following, which is different from the traditional university, is an industry-linked, industry-driven, industry-associated type of training where you train these people in rare professions that are needed in the market. And the majority of our graduates, they don't line up to look for work. They create their own work. They become innovators. And the good thing about this type of programs that we're running is that many of these programs are not even run in Namibia. The majority of our students who have to pursue similar programs that we are offering here have to go to travel to South Africa to do the same programs. So, we are bringing these services closer. We are having rare programs that are not offered by the university, like in designing, in fashion, and a whole lot and more. In addition to what we are offering at UNAM College of Arts, we are having, other concentration within the area of film industry and photography, architecture, and the list goes on and on.
Yeah. Dr. Riruako, are you trying to say that once a university comes and set up shop here, the courses they offer should not be subject to scrutiny by our qualification authority?
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that, and I think you have, I thought that answer was already clear earlier.
No, I'm trying to understand.
Yeah, no, that's not what I'm saying. For
myself and the audience, not to assume.
Yeah.
Because if you are saying these are courses that are accredited in Malaysia and the Great Britain, so why is it now an issue that it's being a subject of debate here in Namibia?
Yeah, it's because people don't understand the whole RICA, the process that anybody goes. When you go through different stages, and I told you that we went through all the different stages. So to answer your question first, any course run anywhere, it must still be locally accredited. Okay. And it must be, equivalent to the local, national qualification framework. So there's no doubt about that. So, but
is the courses that you started offering in August been accredited by the NQA?
They will be accredited.
Are they accredited at
No, they will be accredited. They are at this point.
At this point, are they accredited right now? In
Namibia, currently they are not accredited. Let me take you back. Yeah. Even when we were starting with UNAM and NAST, we went through the same thing. Now, in the situation of UNAM when we were developing it, the situation was even more difficult because remember, we started a new university. At the time we started, the courses were still running. But while the courses were still running, we were busy developing our curricula, developing our programs. This is not the case. The curricula, the programs, everything have been created. It's just the basis of just taking it through the different stages for accreditation. Yeah. And by the time, this whole process, I think it will take an additional month or two before they are fully accredited. So by the time the students complete their studies, everything will be fully accredited.
But what then is the difference between having such a scenario and someone starting a business without having completed the entire registration process? Is there a difference?
No. There is a very different, it's a different process because your registration is already done. Our registration as a university is done.
So what if your courses are not approved, but you've already enrolled students?
There is no doubt our courses will be approved. We went through all the channels, everything will be approved. I want to give you that guarantee.
Yeah. But then also a viewer might ask them, why couldn't you wait for the approval if you are so sure that it's going to go through, instead of you now exposing yourself to all these allegations? Because this is central to the allegations that are going on.
Yeah, I know. But all university go through that. Every other institution that has been set up, you don't wait until the final green light by the NQA. You go on. The courses go on. You look at Triumphant, they went through the same thing. You look at any other college that have been set up, they go through the same thing. The courses will start until they are fully accredited. The process it's being ongoing, and at the time they are completed, then they offer the programs.
Yeah. Okay. So in terms of liaison with the qualification authority, how closely are you working together at all in this regard?
We are done. We are just waiting for them. We're going to give them an invitation, sometimes towards the end of this month, and then they come and do the inspection. Yeah.
But how has the response been from the public in terms of enrollment and so on?
The response has been phenomenal. We are having people who are coming there every day, inquiring about the programs, wanting to enroll their children, and everything is going on as planned.
Yeah. Could you give us an idea of how many students you have enrolled at the moment?
Currently, we have enrolled about over 65 students, and there are more that we are enrolling for the upcoming academic year.
Yeah. In terms of funding, how are they funded?
Funding, we have a conglomerate of funding. We are having NASFAF funding some of them. We have private companies and private individuals also. It's like the same as it is for any other university.
Yeah. Because the reason I'm asking, the NASFAF issue has also come up as a cause of concern for many people. I mean, you over the years have spoken highly of governance and the need for governance in the country. I remember when you were here last time.
Yeah, I know.
So when someone asks you, Dr. Riruako, as a Vice Chancellor, when your students are being funded by the state for courses that are not yet accredited, what would your answer be?
I'll tell them this is an ongoing process. These are programs that will be accredited, and I don't have any fear that they will be accredited. So I don't think there's any problem with that.
Yeah. Currently, the courses you offer, which ones would you say are the most appealing to those who are enrolled, the students?
I think architecture is very, very, very appealing. A lot of we have a big enrollment in architecture. We also have a lot of interest in media, or the different areas of media, media production, film industry. We also have a very, very big interest also in design and fashion, and so on.
Yeah. In your statement, and I've also read it in today's paper, you've mentioned that, of course, the change. You've also indicated the issue of a new bull in the kraal and so on. So, but in terms of building relations with those operating in the same industry where you are now, how are you going about that?
Oh, we definitely are working close with our other colleagues. We are part of the family. We are creating synergies in terms of research, in terms of publications, and we are also exploring issues of public lectures, and so on. So, and even as part of...
Let me just cut you short there, Doctor. Let me just go for a short break and we'll be back. Just hold your thoughts. Thank you. Let's just go for a short break and we'll continue the conversation afterwards. Well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Riruako, we pick up where we left off. You were speaking of the potential relationships and synergies that could be built between your institutions and those that exist in the arena in which you find yourself currently.
Yes.
Just continue with your thoughts, perhaps.
Yeah, no, basically what I was saying is that we are all members of the same fraternity. We all belong to the National Council on Higher Education. And I have already started, touching base with different colleagues from different institutions. And the idea is to network and make sure that we create the appropriate synergies, both for academic exchange and student exchange of ideas, but also for the sake of research. It's very, very pivotal. I mean, our focus want to be more of an industry need-driven type of training and making sure that whatever we do, we synchronize with the needs, specific needs of the country, and synchronize it to the requirements, that is there in the market. And the idea is to make sure that we complement one another and not necessarily duplicate each other. So the whole issue of complementation, the whole issues of teamwork and support, it's very vital. But we are a TVET university, so our focus will be more, the like type of universities. But we are stretching our arms to everybody. I have had very good, interesting discussion with some of my colleagues, and I think I've been only 2 months in the job. I mean, towards the end of the year, next year, maybe when we come back here or the year after, we must have cemented and forged some of these relationships.
Vocational training has, of course, over the years been considered as one of the blocks that we really need as a country to move forward. What is your university bringing to the table in this, from a national perspective?
Yes, I think I'll go back to the words of the founding president years back. At the founding, remember the time when we were even transforming the old academy? I mean, he mentioned something that is very important. that has been at the center of any development, especially in some of the major developed countries. You take Germany, for instance. Their focus was also on vocational training. His statement at the time was that the only way you can bring the previously disadvantaged Namibian in the mainstream business is through vocational training. And the idea is that it's better to equip these people, and this is what our universities bring on board. Train these people for themselves to be job creators, people who are going to be innovators. I mean, the focus, I mean, you take, for instance, Malaysia, for instance, where this university is hailing from. It was able to leapfrog from its economic position because of its heavy investment in information and technology, IT division area. What we are trying to do with our training, with our program, is to make sure that we equip these people with training that immediately some of the projects that they do, they can turn those projects, I mean, whatever they do in class as a project or as a job that they can do once they leave. To give you an example, somebody who's in IT, for instance, the person who will be able to help to even create a website or host a have the capacity to host a website or host a domain, or anything that is practical. So what we want to do is not to create more theoretically type of training abstract, but create people who can create jobs for themselves. And the majority of our people that we have in Namibia, we have people, even some of them with certain skills that can only be fine-tuned and be given impetus for them to do something for themselves.
Yeah. You've mentioned that you've been 31 years in academia, but one would like to know, your team is made up of what type of individuals and skills? Who are these individuals who would be in the lecture halls lecturing the students?
Yeah.
Namibians? Are they from Malaysia, since the university hails from there? Who are these people? Can you just give us just a brief summary?
No, we more than 90%, if less, I'm taking a very conservative estimate, I think even 95% are Namibians. We are the idea, and that has been the ideals of the founder, to bring young people who will grow up with the institutions. So we took young graduates and some, it's a conglomerate, and some experience, people from the market. But basically what we also want, we don't want, see the difference between us and UNAM, for instance. We want somebody who have been in the industry. If you want to create a table, somebody who have done it before. I mean, not somebody who will come and start flipping the page from one page to the other to know that this is how you make a table. So we have a conglomerate of young people that have been in the market, who have proven skills and knowledge of the market. But then we also have up and upcoming young people that we are able to develop. As far as their employees, we don't have anybody from Malaysia. All the full-time employees are Namibians. We have a few people who are helping to set up the institution, which we call the transitional team, who hail from one of our sister universities in Botswana. But the majority of the people are Namibian. And this is one thing also that I wanted to emphasize on, that when universities like ours are making their debut in Namibia, you are also becoming job creators. We are there to provide jobs from Namibia, for Namibians, make sure that we plow back from the community that we get our students and we get our assistants and sponsorship from.
Yeah. The officials from Botswana is the same university that we read about a few days back, where learners were saying they wasted 4 years of their time. What was your take on this?
My take on that one.
Your honest take.
Yeah, let me give you my honest take. These people say 4 years of wasted opportunities. And I'm telling you that Limkokwing, Namibia have started only in August. Yes, we are part of the same fraternity. These people have been trained in Botswana. But I think at the opportune time, the Botswana colleagues will be able to answer for themselves. This has nothing to do with our university here, as far as I'm concerned. These are people that we didn't train from the Namibian, campus, but they are part of the fraternity. So I can't answer for them. I know that they are going through their process of getting, to sort out their problem. But I think it's better that an opportunity like this will be provided to somebody from that institution to answer for themselves. But the team that I have, these are people who have been successful in setting this type of university campuses elsewhere. Their tasks are not necessarily to train the students in classes. As much of them may have skills to train here and there, but their responsibility is very, very cut clean. They are there to help set up the university, and then of course their jobs will be over, and then Namibians will be able to take over from.
Yeah. But the so-called wasted opportunity, isn't that what it boils down to, the setting up?
Not really, because there are two things. We are talking about two different things here. Wasted opportunity, these people are saying that we went to Botswana, we got qualification, and yet our qualification is not necessarily helping us, or it's not accredited. That's another issue. But wait. Let me just finish my point. Let me just finish my point. Now, when we're setting up an institution, it's a totally different thing from what these people are alluding to. Yeah. As much as we are from the same, from the two universities, it's like you take an example of any franchise that you have in the world. You take Kentucky Fried Chicken, for instance. You take Coca-Cola. You cannot say that if you find a defective thing in South Africa, then you should paint everybody with the same brush, saying that, okay, now I came to Namibia, and there is a Kentucky here, so you must be the same as the other one. I want to make it very, very clear. Yeah. But this problem, let me just finish my point. Yeah, this point is far afield from us. We did not train these students. Yeah. So I will be answerable for the students that I'm training. Come back 2 years, 3 years from now. My accreditation for our accreditation for university will be done and dusted in about a month or two. Okay, our first graduate will be graduating in the next 2 and 3 years. So by that time, you can come, we can have this discussion at that point. Then I will answer, but unfortunately I cannot answer for the Botswana situation.
The last one on this Botswana situation, are you aware that those problems that are being made public now regarding the Botswana situation is because of the accreditation scenario which you are also currently facing?
Yeah, I'm aware of it, but we
and it led to where they are now.
Yes, I'm aware of that situation.
So do you understand perhaps why people, or is it justifiable for people to have these concerns around why the courses are started, but the accreditation is not?
It's justifiable, but I think when we come to our next intake, I will come back here and give you my information, because as I said, ours is at a very advanced stage. A site visit is just for people to come and familiarize with what is on the ground. Then we get our accreditation. And I'm not worried on that one. And I want to make it very, very clear to all Namibians, to parents, students alike, everybody, that me at the helm of this institution, an academic of repute, that I think you can attest to that one, been very at the forefront of fighting some of these things. I'm very, very assured that we'll get this thing nailed down within good time. And before our next graduation, our people will not be facing the same predicament. I can put my head on the block for that.
Well, he's placed his head on the chopping block. We will all hold him accountable.
Please do.
Dr. Riruako, maybe just any parting remarks from your side before we close off?
I think the one thing that I would want to make, I want to look the Namibian people in the eye and tell them.
Maybe you should look at the screen.
And tell the people that we are a reputable institution. We are an institution that has been proven to run quality programs elsewhere in the world. We even have graduates from Namibia, people who went to Malaysia, sent by the Namibian government, who are back in the market, who graduated, fully accredited, in those the same programs that they ran in Malaysia, that were fully accredited, is the same program that we are now taking through NQA. So please don't be afraid. Come to us, enroll your children. We have the same entry qualifications as any other academic institution in this country. And on top of that, I want to talk to you from your village. As part of my Vice Chancellor outreach service, I'm going to go to all the different parts of this country, looking at you in the eye, answering any pertinent questions, some of them raised by our fine journalists here, others that perhaps that are still burning that they have not been asked. I'm prepared to answer any of those questions. I'll be going from November, I will be on the field, and then early part of next year, I will be going to different part of this country to take our university, like any other university. I've seen others also doing the same thing, and I'm going to go to the people. I want to make sure in my funnel analysis that I will do everything in my power to make sure that everybody who comes to Limkokwing, Namibia, not only receive quality education, but also get world acclaimed and accredited, fully accredited programs within Namibia and elsewhere in the world.
Yeah. Dr. Riruako, thank you very much for your time and all the best going forward.
I should thank you a million.
Thank you.
Strike it gold and win 5,000 Namibian dollars in cash with Neo Paints. Simply buy Neo Paints products from the selected range and stand a chance to get one of 12 mystery buckets filled with gold paint. All 12 winners will each get 3 extra paint buckets equal to their purchase. One to replace the gold paint, the second to use on your project, and the third to give to a charity of their choice. One winner can score another 10,000 Namibian dollars by showing us your creative use of the golden paint. The best project wins the cash. Offer is valid from 27 September to 18 December at your favorite hardware store nationwide. Visit us at neopaints.com for more competition details and follow us on Facebook for weekly competition updates. Neo Paints, a coat of excellence.